So chapter 11 is about navigation, and navigation really is the links that we put on our page to go to different places. So it would be like a menu that we have, and basically it's using lists really to represent each one of those links. So you're going to have a list, basically an unordered list of different links. So then we have your list item, and then it'll have like those A tags inside. So let me go ahead and represent that. So we have, it's going to be an unordered list. We would have UL, then we would have ahref equals, let's just say index.htm, and notice how it has a different color. I need to put it in quotes, and then we'll just say index is what they're going to click on, and then I do close A. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that and then paste it a few times to make a list. And actually, I did put links, but I forgot to put list items. So I'm actually going to delete what I have here just so I can go ahead and copy and paste this list item, these list item tags. So now if I copy and then I paste, so now I have 4 list items. So that's going to be my menu. And then I close the unordered list. So now we have an actual list of links, which would be our navigation menu. And basically using this, we would actually implement cascading style sheets so that it looks more like a menu. And we'll look at that a little bit later when we do cascading style sheets. So, and yeah, it makes it into colorful and it's interactive. So you can actually do where you hover over a link, it'll actually change. Similar to what we typically look at. So if you go to a web page, let me just go to a regular web page here. When you hover over something that's going to be a link, you could, if I hover over this, the college name, my cursor changes. Or if I hover over other things, like maybe it's a link, there we go. See how I hover over register now, it changes colors, and that's done by CSS or cascading style sheets. So it's going to look much better later on instead of just a bunch of links. So there are different approaches to doing menus. You can have a drop-down list, you can have breadcrumbs, and you can even have event-driven responses. So, oh, and also nesting lists within lists can give you a multi-tier menu. So that might be actually kind of hard to find, but you have, oh, that's nice. Okay, so let's see. I can't really show, yeah, I'd have to find something really good, but see, when you hover, there we go. So there's a list here, and if I hover over a college, it gives me, you know, some content here. But if you wanted more links within each one of these, you can have another list here for another list of links. So instead of having all of these links like this, it could have just been another drop-down box. So this is one list, and then there could be an additional list down here, and that would be a multi-tier um, um, list. So inside of an unordered list, well, there would be another unordered list. So let's say something like UL, and then you'll have your list items, and then another UL, something like that. So all of these inside, well, they have to be indented more, except for the close. So you have an unordered list inside of another unordered list, something like that. And then of course there'll be other list items as well. I know I'm focusing on that too much. So there's an unordered list, and then there's another unordered list inside of it. Anyway, so that's the multi-tier part. You have a menu, but then you have even further menus inside of that menu. Okay, and that would be a nesting list within lists. Breadcrumbs, you all might be familiar with. When you're going to a certain site, sometimes it remembers where you've been. And let me just look at this web address up on top here. You're looking at the Canvas site, but then we're looking at courses, and then this course, and then modules. So that's kind of similar to what breadcrumbs are, but it would be on the web page here. But can't really see that too well. It's kind of similar to this. Yeah, this would be a breadcrumbs because I'm in this class and then I'm on the modules of this class. So that's a representation of breadcrumbs there. And what's nice about that is that you don't have to, you can actually go into a previous folder without heading back and then back and then back. We can just continuously go, we can just click one place and go to that, click one link and go to that place. And actually that would be very similar to what you would see in your File Explorer. So you see up here, we have this PC, downloads, and 1311. Well, if I don't want to keep on heading back, I could just click this PC and it goes straight away to that area. So that's the advantage of breadcrumbs, which we're all probably familiar with. And then we also have event-driven navigation. And that would be in a situation where, like, let's say you have access to your bank, or let's just say there's a bank website like Bank of America. If you are a member or if you have an account there where you can log in, and then you'll have links to whatever you have access to. So you might have access to a credit card, you might have a savings account, all of those different links are available to you because you have that account. But let's say you didn't have a credit card account, you only had a savings account. Well, it's only going to show you that. So that's basically what it means by event-driven navigation. So that's it for that one. Linking, I mentioned linking before. We have your open A tag, which is an anchor tag. And here up on top it says anchor. You have your open A, you have your close A, and that represents links, and it just points to another location or another file or an image, whatever you need to link to. And then there's infinite scrolling where, I should mention that we have, in addition to linking to like another page or an image, as it says here, you can also link to a location within the document. And we haven't been using that recently, but now that we have infinite scrolling, now it's coming back, because if infinite scrolling, if you go to web pages and let's say, you just get more and more content. I've seen it on Facebook, but there's other pages, like I think YouTube has where you can search for something, but if you scroll down and you keep on scrolling down, it just keeps on giving you more and more items to watch. So that's infinite scrolling. So instead of having to scroll all the way to the top, you can actually just click a home button or a home link and it'll take you to the top of the page. So that's where you can go to a specific location within your own document, and that will be part of the lab. You'll have to go to the top of the page, and I'll show you in just a second about that. Okay, so then we have the different kinds of paths. There's absolute, base, and then relative. Now, absolute and relative are very common types of paths. And absolute would be the entire path, all the way from http www.msn.com, like this example here. That is an absolute path. It has the whole entire thing. But when you're looking at relative paths, it doesn't give you the entire thing. It'll give you something like this, where you have /sports/index.htm. That is a relative path. And what that means is wherever you are, like it says right here, the dot tells the browser to go back one layer. So, so in the example of, let's say, this web page here, like this web address is instructure.com, courses, and then this number, and then modules. If you just had a dot, you had modules, and then the dot before it, it just means to go into the folder before it. If you had dot before that, then it would mean to go to this folder, and on like that. So it doesn't tell you exactly where, but it tells you relative to where you are. And what I like to do is remember, when you hear absolute, that means that this is absolutely where you want to go. It's not relative to anything. This is where you actually entirely need to go. So as it says right here, it's the entire length of the length of the link. And that what is actually the address that I put for the image that I copied from the Alamo College's website. So remember, well, I got this image. You right click and you do copy image address. So the image's address, I'm copying it. And when I put it in my web page here, that's a very busy page. When I put it in my sample here, I can actually put a link to that absolute address. So I'm going to go ahead, actually, let me go ahead and put AC for Alamo Colleges. Save and refresh. So AC, and remember, it was the absolute address for the image. So if I were to click on it, it just takes you to that image. It doesn't take you to the actual page. You could actually get the entire, let's say if I go somewhere specific on one of the pages, notice that everything or when I click on it, it'll change this address up here. If I just click here and I can copy the entire thing, that's the absolute address, and just paste it in here. And now it'll take me exactly here. Let me go ahead and save and refresh. I didn't change the text, so it's just the second link there. It's the second link. And one thing I would like to point out, though, is if I were to click the second link, notice that it doesn't go anywhere because I haven't refreshed it yet. So always remember to refresh. So now I'm going to refresh and then click on it, and now it takes me where I want it to go: enroll and then plan. So that is the absolute address and the absolute entire address. Okay, let's see. Okay, and this is just terminology, which means up a level. So means like instead of being in the sports folder, or actually in this situation, you're not, if you want to go up a level, then you want to go into the news folder, or up a level, then you're going to go to the base path. And speaking of that, the base path, as it says up here, is basically just this right here, yoursitename.com. So it'll be, you know, if you look at the Canvas address, it's instructure.com. If you look at the Alamo Colleges, it's alamo.edu. That's the base path. Okay. All right. So target is what we're going to look at, or we're actually going to have that in our assignment. And the target has, it's a link, and it links to a specific area. And as you can see here in this table, these three are old. This is actually for a frame, and we don't even cover frames in this class because it's not even used anymore nowadays. It was kind of an ode, and it wasn't a very good way of creating web pages when we use frames. So you really don't need to know those, but the ones that we do use are this blank and then top. And top, it'll open, like when you click a link, it'll open it in the same window. If you've ever noticed, if you go into the course and you click on, let's say when we go into the biosig thing, it'll actually ask you, or it'll say here, load exam in another tab. Well, that is actually a link that they have where it says blank. It opens the link document into a new window or tab. And actually, that actually isn't part of the assignment. It's actually this part right here within the page. This part right here is cool. Now, this really just tells you where the link, or where the link is supposed to go. Is it going to go in your current window, or is it going to go in another tab? That's the target. When you want to go within a page, you actually want to use these right here. It's the name tag and the ahref. Now, we're familiar with ahref. That is a link, but you also need this a name tag. So then we would go ahead and let me get rid of a lot of this stuff here. And we need 2 of these link tags. And I don't even want the li, so I'm going to delete that. Okay, so we have an ahref, and that's the link. And then we have an a name. Now the name is the one that's going to be on the top. When you're doing the assignment, it's actually going to be on top. And it could be anywhere. It could be like right before your heading or right underneath. I would actually say before, because if you put it underneath, then you might not be able to see the heading. And then of course we have the link tag. Now notice how a name has our destination in quotes. ahref has our destination in quotes with a pound sign. So just be sure to pay attention to what characters are there. So the name does not have pound sign, so it's a name. And then we're going to give it a name. So I'll put top, or I'll put top of page. Okay, so since my name is top of page, then the ahref has to have a pound and then top of page. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to put it in here. So we have a pound and then top of page. Remember, ahref, pound, and then the name, a name, and then whatever name I give it. A name, top of page, ahref, top of page. Now, if I were to save and refresh, really all we're going to see is this heading, and then we're going to see the link. We're not going to see this a name, because basically this is a place where you just kind of save information. It just kind of tells you the location of where it needs to go. So I've already saved, and now I'm going to refresh. So all we see is, now let's see, why does it say index? Oh, because I have it here. Now we don't need that in there. If you look on in the text, then a name, notice how it doesn't even have a close, but I think it should actually. Okay, but we'll just leave it like that the way it is. So it's a name, and let me just get rid of this close a tag, but that really bothers me. So there's nothing inside the tags, the a name tag. So, and then we have the ahref. So now all we should see is just name and then what we're going to click on. Actually, let me put a click here to go to top of page. Save and then refresh. Click here to go to top of page. Now, if I were to click it, notice how it really doesn't do anything. And the reason why it doesn't do anything is because we are already on the top of the page. There's no higher than that we can go. You actually want to get text, copy that text, and then paste it in your page so that you have content in your page. And you can write it if you want. And remember, the assignment is going to be to put whatever content you want, but you could also just put, whatever text. So I'm going to go ahead and just paste up a bunch of text, save, and then refresh. Now notice there's a lot of content here, but also know that we still have, if I were to click here, we're still on the top of the page. One thing you can do that's kind of a trick is to make your browser very, very small. So now we're scrolling down. Now we click the link here, and now it goes to the top of the page. So that is kind of challenging when it comes to this assignment here, but that's a good way to set it up and then check it with a smaller browser. Okay. Well, that is it actually for the chapter. We're linking within the page. So the next chapter is chapter 12.